guys, we're here on location with Gary. You know, I know there's a lot of watch channels that are out there, but they're not always doing watch enthusiast things, and I think that's something that's important, right? Is that we actually connect with each other about this hobby. And you know, I've been meeting out in San Diego for quite some time, and Gary's been kind of a huge part of that. He kind of helped swing the door open for me to a couple of different groups, whether it be meeting up for coffee, lunch, and then some of the real actual formal, like you guys saw not too long ago, like the yachts and watches event.
San Diego
right?
Chrono, yeah.
Yeah, so SD Chrono, they're definitely more kind of on that organized side, but then there's always that, you know, that space in the middle where it's just, hey, just connecting as people, right? So I appreciate you taking the time. We just actually just had lunch, so you guys missed that. Comment down down below if you're curious on what we ate, because
Ventana, all I have to say is fish and chips.
Yes.
You don't need to know any more than that.
We literally all ordered the same thing. So if you're a fish and chip connoisseur, go ahead and you have questions, let us know. But so let's actually start out with customary wristwatch check.
Oh.
What are you wearing today, sir?
Well, it happens to be a diver. Normally I don't wear divers, which is not true. That's all I wear is a diver. But I do have the Seamaster 300 Watchco version. So it's just one of those watches that I've been looking at for years, and I got lucky. Actually, one of the guys in our group up in our OC Chrono happened to have it on his Instagram, and I said, "You want to sell it?" And he said, "No, not really, but maybe." And then we ended up meeting up. And
that's how it goes.
And I got it. Like
that's
wow.
Awesome.
He's all, "Well, if you sell it back to me." So just a fantastic watch. Wears well. As we know, we got the 60th anniversary of Omega coming up. Everybody's hoping that they're going to come out with this, and if they do, it's going to be expensive and limited. So maybe the Watchco will triple in price.
yeah, maybe they'll do something in between the Moon Swatch and one of their limited, like the trilogy run, right, where they were super limited. Hopefully they'll find a sweet spot. I think there'd be a lot of happy people that if they were to pay for something that they didn't have to immediately rush out and get and then worry about scalpers. That would be a love letter to the watch community. But we'll see, because I don't think the watch community runs Omega. It's a bunch of you know, guys that are all about the cheddar, which works for them.
It's all about cash. But I did bring another diver just because we were eating fish and chips and we're talking dive watches, and this is one that actually I saw on Mark's channel. And actually, I think that's how I first met Mark, is I saw this Squale 1521 Kosk version, and he did a review on it, and I said, "Oh man, that's awesome, I gotta have that." And I actually ordered it direct from Squale, but and I'm saying Squale, hopefully that's correct, but let's go with it. And then Strap Habit. I saw this actually on Random Rob's channel several times, and he's put it on a lot of different watches, but I thought with that that orange hand on there, that minute hand, it just pops.
Absolutely.
And I'm in the water a lot. I do some surfing, not so much diving anymore, some snorkeling. So all my watches are for a purpose. Right?
Absolutely.
If I can't wear them in the water, it's not going to look good with my suit anyway. So it's got to mesh, right? It's got to be you know, a work watch.
Absolutely.
Like your birthday watch.
Yes, my wristwatch check. I'm actually wearing my Seiko SLA 017, the 62 MAS reissue, and yeah, this thing, I love it, and I love it even more when I'm wearing it around watch enthusiasts, because they know how special it is, and they make me feel like that was a completely competent money investment. Thank you to the missus for helping making this happen. But yeah, this is a watch that I love, and honestly, here in kind of the San Diego area, you know, a lot of the guys that we kind of hang out with are all really dive watch enthusiasts. And I still remember when you asked me about that Squale, right? Let's discuss it, right? There's Squale, which has been popularized, which is the Italian pronunciation. There's Squall, which was originally what was kind of gone by, and now Squala. Squala. Because
that's weird.
The people at Squall don't want to make anybody feel bad for saying Squale. So Squall. Yeah. Two syllables, and I'm fine with it as long as nobody in the comments bites my head off for not saying squale. You guys might not know this about me, but I'm actually not Italian. So
and neither am I. So
yeah.
that works out well. But seeing this
mad.
in person, if you guys can't see it on the camera, it's one of those watches that if you see it outside and you're in a distance, you're going to think it's a Rolex if you don't know watches, because it's got the bling factor. But it's amazing. You know, my friend Dave, who's behind the camera shooting this right now, say hi, Dave. And he tried to buy this off of Mark, and Mark, he tried to trade it for a Scurfa, but it didn't go.
Shout out to Scurfa, a great brand that I still haven't reviewed, and I don't know why. So
yeah.
if you own a Scurfa, or you're the owner of Scurfa and you're watching this,
yeah.
hey, hit me up. Let's collaborate.
You need to do a review on Scurfa. We have enough Scurfas within our group that we don't need to order one from Paul. And Paul's probably underwater right now somewhere in the British seas.
Yes.
But yeah, he makes a fantastic watch that sells out within minutes. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So with all that out of the way, let's actually flip the camera around. We'll get some close-ups actually of these wristwatch checks, because I know some of you are wanting some detailed looks. And then we'll get into kind of what this whole video is about. It's a bit of a reaction kind of video in terms of what do real watch enthusiasts, right? Not just, you know, self-proclaimed YouTubers think about some of these particularly kind of high concept, really just high complication type of watches that are made in China, but also are not super cheap. You know, they're cheap for what they are, right? Because the competition is, you know, six-figure watches, and you're getting these for, you know, around $2,000 or $2,000. So I think it'd be nice to pick some brains in terms of, you know, what folks do think about these. But with that said, let's go ahead, flip the camera around, and get to the next piece. Okay, there we have it. Check that out. Watchco, such a smart investment and such a great story overall. Go ahead and wrist roll that. And
how about that?
Yes.
Now I'm going to go the other way.
A little bi-directional action.
Yeah,
very
nice.
progressive
Yeah.
bezel there.
Yeah.
Hey, check out that strap. Very nice. Mora, NATOs. These are actually really cool and quite affordable. Definitely have reviewed them on the channel in the past. And you guys can see that, hey, this is definitely the choice of an enthusiast.
And you know, Mark, I tell you what, they were smart enough to make it long. You can wrist roll it here, so it actually goes through both keepers, and
nice.
It stays on your wrist, and it looks classy.
That's absolutely one of my pet peeves, is when those types of straps don't give you enough to kind of loop back over, because it kind of completes the look.
Yeah.
Let's definitely check out the Squall as well. Squalla.
It's actually Squale, but yeah, look at that. And let me give it just a quick little, since it's got so much nice bling to it. So this is the 1521 Kosk, right, Mark? And it's got, doesn't have the shark on it, but you don't need it. You can tell that's a Squale, whatever you want to call it. It's got high polish on the sides. Sorry about that. Get that fish and chips off there. And you can see the back. Really nice lugs. If you have a small wrist, my wrist is a 7-inch, but you can kind of tell that those lugs will hug probably any size wrist.
Oh yeah.
And then the strap have it on here too with the quick release, which are not quick release anymore because I pull them out. I don't trust quick release. You can talk to Mark about that in the comments. But anyway, awesome strap. Get a lot of comments on this. Goes really well with the orange that's almost like neon.
Yeah, no, that thing's killer. And I mean, for the price point, it just has so much, right? You're getting the applied indices, you're getting a uniquely signed dial, single signed, right? Versus the typical double signed. So you're getting something very, very special, very versatile. And then you got the loomed bezel. And then, of course, Squall recently introduced a brushed case variation, which I'm looking forward to eventually, hopefully, checking out if they don't sell out too fast.
That's the blue one, Mark? That they
yeah.
just with?
I think they did a black as well. So I don't know, we'll see whichever one sells out first or last, and then which one I can get my hands on. Yeah. But moving on to some of the other watches here. Let's take a look at these puppies.
Yeah, I'm gonna lift this out so people can see it. This is the Terminator 2 watch that Arnold wore. No, actually it doesn't, but this is closer to kind of a U-work style that you'll see in some really high-end retail watch shops. But really actually pretty easy to read. You can see the hour hand over here, minutes on the bottom. And then, Mark, what's this top up here? Is that a date complication?
Actually, it's actually just another window to where you can see the hands as they rotate.
Yeah.
There's actually a flip that happens where they'll switch to another side, another facet. So it's completely a 3D piece, three-dimensional, and they had to use lightweight materials just to be able to get that to work, because underneath there isn't an in-house movement. It's actually just a typical Miyota 9000 series. So there was a lot of tricks that went into that, and I think on their part, they just wanted to kind of showcase as much of that as they could, just because it's that complex. And you know, kind of course, as we were talking earlier today, we were talking about dive watches and kind of in the heyday of micro brands, how really the flex for a new micro brand was how deep can you make something, right? Like they were, hey, if you could take it deeper than a Rolex Submariner, that was kind of a nice flex you could have over a basic Rolex collector, right? Which was kind of cool. You could buy a watch that could be, you know, 2,000 or 2,500 meters of water resistance, and it could actually do that. Now I feel like we're seeing brands really step up their game and take on just these high complications. Here we have an actual, you know, tourbillon, fully skeletonized, and that's something that typically, you know, you see open heart complications. They're meant to look like tourbillons, and then you actually have something that is a tourbillon, and it's just pretty wild to look at and see that this is, while not cheap, again, around, I think this is around $1,250. It's still a functioning tourbillon that didn't break after, you know, a couple weeks of use. This is something that is really, really, in terms of its execution, pretty wild. I mean, it's just, they've got all the details, everything's skeletonized, it's modern, it has, you know, twin barrel, 80-hour power reserve, hand wound movement. That's pretty impressive. So these brands, although they're all out of China, a lot of them have won different design awards. You can see here the Blue Earth model. It's probably one of the more popular and famous you know, kind of high complication watches right now, in terms of the way that they just figured out a whole new rotation in terms of how it would tell the time. Although inside, again, it's a clone ETA 2824 movement. You know, all of the complication that they had to build to secure that and kind of put something out like that, I think is very noteworthy. You know, and I think just based on aesthetics, this is cool looking. I mean, this looks like something that would be on the wrist of Captain Kirk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, beam me up, man.
Yes,
That's definitely belongs in a transporter somewhere, right? And just kind of pick your spot, and then it'll take you straight to it. But that's you know, it's a beautiful watch. All these watches actually, on my 7-inch wrist, even this U-Work looking one I've tried on. Yeah,
go ahead and let's get it on wrist and get some impressions, because I'm definitely curious to know kind of what your thoughts are in terms of, you know, you're typically somebody who's going to be wearing more traditional watches, and you know, how do you feel in terms of budget-wise, you know, investment-wise, into something that's fun like this, especially as somebody who gets out in the community, goes to watch meets? Like, what do you feel like people's general reaction would be if they saw you wearing something like this?
Oh, they would probably definitely take a double take, right? Because they're not going to be able to tell, is you know, what is that? It looks like a U-Work, right? When I wore it, you know, while we were having lunch, I thought, well, this is a great watch to wear out if you're going out to dinner with your wife or girlfriend or whatever. It's just kind of got that wrist presence, right? And I'll try and get the
that thing actually
sauce there.
Dresses up pretty nicely. I didn't even think of that, but seeing you, of course, in your long sleeve, there's definitely a kind of dressy appeal, especially on that black leather. It looks very cool and definitely very, very upscale. Yeah. And I feel like if you took this watch, right, if we were at a time travel, take this thing back 30 years, people would be blown away by something like this. I think we're, of course, can all be a little jaded thanks to just how crazy things have gone with, you know, the likes of Richard Mille and all these companies that are out there doing really crazy complications, Urwerk being one of them. And to see something like that, you know, even then, even at this affordable price point, for it to even function, they're still having to use high-grade materials like aircraft-grade aluminum and carbon fiber just to make this to where it'll be functional. So very, very cool. And hey, you know, you get 3 sapphire crystals on this watch.
I'll tell you what,
because there's 3 different windows on it.
All we need to do is add 100 meters, and I'm wearing this on my wetsuit.
There you go. Hey, you hear that, AutoWalk? You guys need to make this thing a little bit more water resistant.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that actually could really add to the appeal of something like this, is that if you could take that kind of that hot horology complication and juxtapose that to actual, you know, action, right? Something you can go treat like a G-Shock. I think that would be, you know, the ideal, because then you'd really get your money's worth, right? Because now you're wearing it and you're not babying it. But yeah, this thing is pretty sweet. So out of these 3, which one would you say kind of spoke to you the most in terms of like design-wise? Like, which one do you think you would probably wear out of these ones?
That's going to be this one, Mark. I mean, I love Tourbillon, and I like the blue and this particular watch that you were showing off. But this one's just unique enough that you're going to be sitting there, or somebody's going to make a comment like, hey, what is that? You know, you're going to start a conversation, and people that aren't familiar with watches are going to want to know what you're wearing on your wrist. You're probably not going to get that with a dive watch unless somebody knows.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Oh, hey, that's a Seiko. Everybody's got one. Everybody doesn't have one of these, that's for sure. So it's a fun watch. This would be a great little weekend watch, or you know, taken to an SD Chrono event or something like that.
Absolutely.
It'd be fun, yeah.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure hanging out, talking shop, talking watches. Very, very cool studio that we're actually in right now. So thank you for actually kind of hooking it up in terms of getting us access. So we'll probably close this out. We'll shoot some B-roll of this really cool spot. Maybe we'll lay some of the watches out, get some nice shots of that, and then I'm looking forward to sharing this with everybody. Guys, let us know what you think in the comments below. You know, if you have any questions for Gary, definitely feel free to post. This guy's the real deal, and it's the kind of guy that you hope to go out and meet when you go out to these watch events. Just, you know, real folks, real enthusiasts. You could see that, you know, there was no snobbery here. We didn't even pronounce squall right half the time. So
we never will.
we never will.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.